Good afternoon and welcome to the garage. So what you can see here is my finished Elizabeth wobble single acting piston engine. And the reason I'm doing this with my fingers is that I haven't fixed the flywheel. So that although the flywheel is working, it's just loose on that crank axle. So using my finger here to do it around. So the process is pretty simple. So this cylinder here has got two holes on the back. You can see there and there. And one hole in the cylinder. And so as it pivots, that cylinder hole is exposed to one of the two holes in the frame. So you put steam into one of those holes and leave the other one empty. Then as it moves, it goes back and forth, steam, exhaust, steam, exhaust, steam, exhaust. And this little crank wheel here spins the crank axle, which then rotates the flywheel, and the flywheel is what gives it enough mass so that when it's like here and it's exhausting, even if it's run out of exhaust, I guess here it would have steam in it, wouldn't it? It's still got enough momentum to go round in that circle. So there you go. So it's going to go much faster than this when I put some steam through it. Still not entirely sure because these are 1.5 mil holes here, as per the drawing spec, and that's pretty tiny. But yeah, I'm just really pleased. Like I can sure you can agree that result is definitely worth all of this investment and all of the stuff down there. That's definitely proportionate to the results. So yeah, hopefully to get the flywheel fixed and get this running on steam fairly soon. Thought I'd quickly show you what I was working with. So this is a double-sided sheet showing the drawings from this book over here. This is a fantastic book. It's got four engines in. So it's got sorry, there's no pictures handy, but it's got a single unit like this with the boiler and the engine. It's got a standalone engine with a standalone boiler, and it's got a steam crane and a few other things, and these drawings are in it. So I just put these all on one page and started ticking them off as I did them. I started to make some amendments. So one of the things I did accidentally is I made this frame too small. This is the original frame here. And I made some small adjustments, and this isn't like I'm an experienced engineer. But for example, rather than using 6BA, I used 5BA for the pins, for the uprights, rather than using a 3/32 diameter silver steel rod, which I hate working in silver steel now. It's so brittle. I must have made, well, you can see here, I've got these. This is the result of me attempting to make a connecting rod. So this little guy here, which has got a thread on both ends, and yeah, just absolutely brutal. Any kind of pressure at all would cause deflection. I'm using carbide tip tooling. I don't have something to sharpen the carbide, and I don't have a grinder to use 3/8 tooling, which is what I should be using if I'm using high-speed steel. So just a struggle the whole way. And actually, this particular one, in the piston inside here, the thread is slightly too small. It's a very shallow thread, but I used thread locker, which is the MVP of this build, to secure that in place regardless. So yeah, I've used thread locker on all the screw threads, except for this one here, which is due to have a spring and a cap in, and that retains tension, which keeps this pulled in against the frame here. There's deliberately a little recess there because we actually just want this to pivot on these two outside edges, not in the middle. We want as much of a close fit as possible on that side. So that's all that. Tick them off as I was doing it. What I decided to do is, as you can see on here, it uses a brass tube and then a square piece of brass, which you mill out underneath, and you mill on top, and you drill, and then you silver solder it together, like braze it together. I don't have any brazing equipment. It's definitely on my list of things to buy and to sort out. But instead, what I did is I milled it out of a single piece here. So I started to be really clever in trying to use round stock and offset the centers and so on. But actually, if I try, I haven't got any handy here. Here we go. I used this 5/8 square, and this was enough for me to just get the center using a four-way chuck. and then turn the ends, and then I could sit this in the milling, in the vertical slide over here, sit it and mill away the front, mill away the edge, mill away the top. And I used the 1/2" 2 flute slot drill to do that, and it was very successful. So definitely going to look at doing that again. And it just generally felt, as I was getting on in the project, I was just learning more and more. I was relying on the dials a bit more. There's still a lot of backlash in this, which is annoying. For example, cutting the 2 ports on here, like these two, it's not actually possible to just use the dials, because if you're on the center line, it's fine. You dial a 1/16 of an inch up, and that's fine. But then you can't dial back to the center because the backlash is doing you wrong. And so you can only do up and one way, and then your backlash is then throwing all the rest of your measurements off. So what I actually did was use a dial test indicator and had this over here dialing in, and then this giving me the vertical reading. And that worked pretty well. So overall, it's not actually running on Steam yet, but I think the fact that it's running at all is certainly enough to convince me that this is a hobby worth pursuing. And we have the result of that here. Stuart Models. This is the next stage, building a vertical steam engine. This is a steam engine that you can build entirely on the lathe. So it comes with in the cylinder, the steam ports are already drilled, which is amazing. So all of this needs to be machined. It all needs to be cleaned up. It's my first time working with cast iron. It's my first time working with a double acting cylinder, because this is just single acting. So there's just a lot more complexity in this one. But the idea is this, and then maybe we'll get to see a locomotive. I'm actually looking to move house in the next month or so I don't know if I'm going to get started on this. I might do some prep on some of the simple things. But yeah, exciting times. Thank you for sticking with me.